From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hutchavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. Coming up on today's show, kind of the same old opinions of the Florida State football team after the spring showcase. New threads, though, and Corey Clark exits the transfer portal. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Monday's lunch special, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only $8.99 for a half-pound black Angus beef burger. Can you believe it? And it comes with a side dish. The straight fries, the curly fries, the tater tots, a side salad. It's all there for you. Freshly cooked potato chips as well. Check it out over the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminoles sports source. Hope you joined the website a year ago when it was $1, and this past weekend when it was $10 for 4 months of access. I think that has dried up, but we're here working, so sign up already. You just keep missing out on all these great offers, so hang out with us. Thumbs up, 5-star rating review as well, please. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. It was a pretty eventful weekend, I guess.
Yeah,
you would say. Yeah,
that.
you were there. You were there filming it. So what was your? So I guess I should let people know. Not everybody's on Twitter or on on YouTube, but I happened to get engaged this past weekend.
That's right. I was there for it. It was magical. Some would say, life altering. I think I might divide my life into two eras. Before I witnessed you and Stephanie get engaged, and the times now after it. Yeah, my concern was, I don't want to say cavalier, but everybody knew what was going on except Stephanie, apparently. I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, the cat's going to get out of the bag here. Like, you're being very nonchalant. Like, yeah, you were on air on an intercom system inside CP. She went to the restroom. You're like, y'all, I'm about to engage to her when she gets – I'm going to propose when she gets back out here. And I'm like, shh. And you're like, it's fine. She can't hear me. She's inside. I'm like, this is crazy. And then you did your whole so they set it up because it was a live edition of Seminole Headlines, everybody, and they have this running gag about the basketball team being so poor that whenever they bring up basketball, they pivot and talk about, what, Taylor Swift?
Taylor Swift, yeah.
Our nation's treasure, our national treasure, Taylor Swift. Right. And Stephanie and her daughter had just returned from seeing Miss Taylor Swift in Tampa, so it kind of felt like a natural fit to like, oh, hey, Stephanie, come up here. We just got a question about basketball. You know that we always talk about Taylor Swift, and she came up and sat beside Corey. And I don't know why I'm telling the story. It's your life. But yeah, she went and sat by Corey, and then Corey's like, yeah, so how was the concert? And, Stephanie just kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to be up here. And then everybody had their phones out filming this. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you all doing? Like, Corey specifically was like, Aslan, can you film this for me? I'm like, so first off, I don't want to digress too much here, but on Thursday we're leaving practice. Corey's like, you're going to be at Corner Pocket after the golf tournament on Friday, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you going to be able to film it? I'm like, film the isn't Tom going to be there with the webcam? He's like, yeah. But, I just want to be able to get everything in the shot. I'm like, dude, he has a webcam and Tom knows what he's doing. And you're like, no. I want to make sure, like, I get her reaction. I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
You actually said, who is she?
Yeah, I'm like, who is she?
Yeah.
And then Corey's like, I'm going to propose to Stephanie tomorrow at the Corner Pocket. I'm like.
And I thought I had told you that already.
No.
Yeah, that's my bad. That's on me. That's on me. I told so many people that I forgot who I told and who I hadn't told. Yeah. But yeah, so that was the biggest thing is there were probably 30 people out there, Aslan, right, that knew.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And my biggest concern, because people asked me if I was nervous, and I'm like, no, not really. I wasn't nervous at all. The only thing I was nervous about was making it believable to get her up there, and then nobody spilling the beans before the big reveal. That's all I cared about, really. And people told me I looked nervous, but those are people who don't watch me on camera. Because that's how I am on camera. I rub my arms, I'm fidgety, I'm a weird dude. So I was not any more nervous than I always am. That's how I look just recording a Seminole Headlines in a studio. So, Jeff Cameron, you and Jeff. Jeff got a really good shot because he was to the right of me, and he got me pulling the ring out of the pocket. So that was a money shot. And then yeah, Stephanie's reaction was great, and there were so many people there that I wanted there to celebrate it. And I think the reaction to the moment, and this goes for everybody. Jeff Cameron even said he got emotional. There were people, friends, longtime friends of Stephanie's, and people that have only known her for a few months, but their reaction to her reaction is exactly what I wanted, because the reaction was about her. Like, I know that, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but women can get a little emotional about proposals, other people's proposals, like, oh, that's so sweet, and they love that. But I think the reaction for this one was specifically for the person that was being proposed to, because she's a special person, and that's why I'm out of the portal.
It was awesome. Although it would have been nice if she would actually verbally assented to this query of yours, though, because you did pull out the ring. You're like, will you marry? Because Corey's whole thing was like, well, let me ask you another question. Will you marry me? And then she was so stunned and shocked by it all that she never actually said yes. And Corey's like, well, are you going to say something? And then somebody told me at the game, tell Corey, what's he doing? He knows what he's doing. He's done this before. You're supposed to put the ring on her finger. Yeah. Because you just kind of dropped the mic. You're like, boom, there's the ring you've always wanted.
Well,
Here's
she
the
even
man
said
you've always wanted.
Stephanie even said it in the midst of her tears, like, aren't you supposed to put the ring on my finger? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not. Who knows? Who knows at this point?
It's a new day and age. It's a new day and age.
Exactly. Get it yourself, woman.
Yeah.
Hey, new life has started. Get it yourself and go get me a beer while you're up. No, so it worked out. It worked out just absolutely perfectly. And people are so kind at Corner Pocket, and then Saturday going in and out of the game, and Indigo before the game. Everybody was saying congratulations and just being very, very kind and very nice, and it was a fun day. I'm glad the Warchant family got to celebrate it.
I think there's more threads on the tribal council about you getting engaged than there are about the new uniforms, and that's just going to show you how much interest was.
Dude, wait until you get engaged. You're gonna break the tribal council. I can't wait.
Boy.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll see. Don't hold your breath, everybody. Don't hold your breath. All right, before we talk about the uniforms, let's talk about the game. Maybe I kind of want to frame it a little bit like this. Our guy Grumpy BK commented on the Warchant rap, the wildly popular Warchant rap that Corey and Ira did afterwards. He said, I know it's hard to get up for this kind of showcase for a variety of reasons, but my question is this. How did the tempo, energy, and physicality compare to what you all see in practice? To me, this seemed like a casual dress rehearsal and overall a very light contact day from a scrimmage perspective. Thoughts? ?
Yeah, I mean, but I didn't expect anything else. I just think, again, I think we were talking about this last week or a week and a half ago, like the days of hard-hitting, snot-flying, slobbering spring games are done. Mm-hmm. There's just no point in it. And especially, in my opinion, when you're Norvell, because you know Norvell's teams are going to be tough and they're going to be physical. There's no need to overdo it in an exhibition game. There just isn't. There's no need to play the guys that you know can play. Burse had, 12 snaps? I don't know if Fabian had 2. I don't know. They already know what those guys are. There's no need to risk them out there doing that. But I thought they are physical in practice. They do get after them and they work hard, but they just don't tackle. Yeah. And, at least we finally got to see him tackle. Well, I should say we got to see him tackle Rodney Hill and C.J. Campbell. Man, I don't know. When do you think Rodney Hill gets a green jersey? Because we've never seen him in one. He doesn't even know what one would feel like.
Yeah, they let him go out there and play hard, man. They preserve the other guys, but I think he likes it that way, man. But yeah, they thud up and stuff. They wrap up in here and there, but they don't get taken to the ground, and that's pretty much the way they look when they go 11 on 11. Everybody, yeah. I mean, so we get to obviously see a lot that you don't, but there's no extra special gear that they play with when they go 11 on 11. The previous times that we were out there versus that. Now maybe one of those scrimmages that was inside Doak that we were not in. Maybe they ramped up the physicality, but I doubt it because to your point, Corey, they're not going to risk getting themselves hurt in those situations. So, but man, the individual drills and the segments they do before they get to 11 on 11, there's some thudding and such, and they're not a soft team at all. So I don't think there's any reason to be concerned. This is kind of the way they look when they go 11 on 11.
And when you think about the line of scrimmage, come on, man, one side is being coached by Alex Atkins. The other side by Odell Hagens. Yeah. They're not good. They are going to be physical, and they are getting physical practices. They go 1-on-1 a lot. They go 3-on-2 a lot. They do a lot of physically aggressive stuff in these practices. And you can maybe more with linemen because you're not tackling anybody. You're just trying to push somebody over or keep them from getting by you. It's not, slamming people to the ground typically.
Yeah.
So, but those lines of scrimmage are physical every practice. And there was physicality in that. In that practice, it's just, or in that scrimmage on Saturday, it's just that, when you get close to a guy in a green jersey, they're going to blow it dead. So you can't, and, Jordan, Benson, and Toafili all had green jerseys on. They're your primary ball carriers. So when you get near them, you can't bring them to the ground. So the linebackers and safeties don't get to show a lot of physicality all the time. But I promise you the line of scrimmage they are going to be physical on both sides of the ball up front.
I also think watching it on TV through the ACC network prism probably also affects kind of what you're able to absorb. But yeah, back to the point about them being physical. Yeah, I meant to mention this on the previous show like last week, but I was walking to the baseball stadium and I was wrapping around next to where the defensive lineman drill, and then Odell was yelling at one of the guys like, strike it. And he's like, what do I have to say to you to piss you off? So just know, yeah, Odell's still there. He's cooking. They're still getting after it. So, but we appreciate that framing it that way. Grumpy BK gets us started on our way here. So what did we take away then, Corey? Because we came in there with a lot of, I don't want to say preconceived notions. I think we've seen things. We're not preconceived. These are, certain positions, certain players. We have now been able to assess them and know what they're likely to bring to Florida State this year. So none of that really changed. Did anything, though, other than, I guess maybe Kentron? I think Kentron and Kalen are kind of like your headline guys. You and Ira, rather, kind of pointed that out in the wrap-up that you guys did. But otherwise, the only other thing I would want to introduce into the conversation was I like the way that Jordan's first series in 11-on-11 I don't think went all that well. And then I don't know if Tate came in after that and moved them down the field pretty quickly. But the next time and the final time they put Jordan out there, we saw just how kind of efficiently he moved the ball down the field. It was kind of good to see maybe a little competitive juice in him. Like, all right, man, I'm in front of all these people. I'm on TV. Let me turn it on. So I guess what are some of the things that you'll take away from Saturday's showcase?
Yeah, really nothing with Jordan at all. Like, I thought he was fine. The interception, that's a bad throw, but it's also a good play by Deloach. I thought Jordan played. And also understand, Winston Wright's limited. Johnny Wilson's not playing. Obviously, Micah Pittman's not playing.
Darian Williamson's
not playing. So he didn't have the weapons that he would normally have. Plus, he's in a green jersey. There was the one run he had, which I think I gave him credit for, like 22 yards on a scramble run, which in a real game, it literally might have been a 75-yard touchdown. Yeah. He cuts back against the grain. It's going to be him and a safety racing to the end zone, but they blow it dead because somebody gets near him. So there's an element that you don't get to see of Jordan Travis in this offense when Toafili, Benson, and Travis aren't allowed to be tackled and break tackles. So with that said, though, I thought he was fine. There was nothing he could have done save for throw 5 interceptions that would have made me worry about anything. And so I say all that to say this. When he did have his last touchdown drive, or his only touchdown drive of the spring, it was against walk-ons. They put him in specifically, like, here you go, we're going to give you the first-team offense, and you're going to go up against the defense that Duffy and Rodemaker have been going up against. Let's see how you do. And, yeah, okay, pass for a first down, touchdown to Poitier. Great throw in the end zone, but it was against walk-ons. But it was good just to have him, when he put on the baseball cap for the rest of the day, he did it off a touchdown drive. And I think it was set up that way. Norvell did that specifically. Let's have our first-team offense feel good about itself as we wrap up the spring game. On the flip side of that, and I wrote about it in my column that I wrote after the game, is like it was diabolical what he did with Brock Glenn. Like, and we talked about it when I brought it up in the press box to you. Is like, yeah, man, he likes to keep him uncomfortable. Like, you can't get more uncomfortable than your first series in front of FSU fans inside Doak Campbell Stadium. You're running the second team offense. Maybe the third. I'm not even sure. It was either
a mix and match. It felt like, yeah.
Of the second and third team offensive line, versus Jared Verse and Patrick Payton and the rest of the starting defense. Welcome, Brock Glenn. Yeah. Good luck. And Patrick Payton and Jared. I think he did complete a pass. He might have gotten a first down, and then he got sacked on back-to-back plays by Verse and Payton. Verse might have gotten him both times. But yeah, like. I wanted to ask Norvell about that. Maybe we can ask him Monday. Like, what was the reasoning behind that? And I think the answer is pretty simple. He wanted to keep him uncomfortable. Yeah. And but yeah, so it was hard to take anything away from Brock Glenn's performance in that setting because, man, that's a tough ask, especially for a freshman. But with him, he looked like I thought he looked all spring, Aslan. I thought he looked comfortable. I thought he looked confident. He made some bad throws, but they were the right throws. He just kept missing Hakeem high. He was maybe his feet weren't set, the fundamentals weren't quite there, but the conviction and the confidence and the comfortability he showed, I thought just carried over from the spring. And it was cool that he got that last touchdown. And then A.J. Duffy, man, I thought he looked as good for a stretch of that game that I've seen him look since he's been here. He made some plays. I think we did some unofficial stats. I think we had him like 8 of 16 for 77 yards. But he made some nice plays, some real plays with his legs too. Mm-hmm. And then he throws a horrible interception. Just straight to our man
was Quindarius Jones?
Quindarius, yeah, right between the 1 and the 6. And credit to Quindarius for being there, but AJ had just picked up a first down on a third down scramble for like 16 yards. Nice play. It was the 6th third down that he'd converted. And then the very next play is the interception. And so that was like, yeah, all right, well, there you go. I just, right now, if you're talking to Corey Clark, you're not talking to me, but you're listening to me, on April 17th of 2023, I think Brock Glenn is ahead of A.J. Duffy. I think I like Brock Glenn's potential and his ceiling for this offense and his ceiling as a college football quarterback more than I do A.J. Duffy. And that the spring, I was wondering if the spring game would change that one way or the other, and it didn't. This is kind of how I felt really for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I just thought the spring game enhanced that, or didn't dismantle what I already thought. And then Rodemaker, I don't know, man. How would you sum up Rodemaker's day? Honestly, how would you sum it up?
Just average, adequate. I mean, kind of. I don't know. I mean, what you said in the wrap with Ira was just like, this is kind of what we think he's going to be. Like, he's just going to make some impressive throws just because he's physically gifted, but then he's also going to make some decisions. He's going to make some poor throws based on some rather dubious decision-making. I don't know. It's so hard to really judge him because, this is not the right mindset to have, but, like, he knows he's not going to be the starting quarterback of Florida State. Like, I feel like when he goes out there, he's playing with a different kind of maybe mindset than he would or that he did like when he was up in Louisville, right? We've seen him play kind of loose and free, and he did it certain times up there in Louisville. But for me, it's always going to be hard to really gauge Tate because we just know how far ahead Jordan is of him. So I don't know. That's maybe a little bit of a cop-out, but it's tough for me to really get a feel for what he can be when I know that, there's got to be part of him as a competitor that realizes, like, man, whatever I do out here, nothing's going to change. So, I don't know how to really assess that.
Yeah, but he's got it. We talked about it on the wrap when Atkins was asked about the number 2 quarterback. He said it's going to be fun, which to me means Rodemaker doesn't have anything sewn up, or he should not feel like he has even the number 2 job locked up. And I thought in Rodemaker on Saturday was what I've come to just believe Rodemaker is. We had him as – what do we have him? We had him about 6 of 12 for like 85 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown to Rodney Hill is a perfect throw. Great throw.
Yes.
And then he also had a really nice throw to Preston Daniel over the middle of the field.
Actually, I think it was Toafili. No, was that a touchdown throw?
No, Toafili was a run.
Yeah,
Rodney Hill was like a wheel route.
Yeah.
I think DeMarco Ward ran by him for a touchdown.
You're right.
But it's a nice throw, but in a perfect spot. Rodemaker does that. He has a very talented arm, and he just rips some very impressive throws. And you go to the Louisville game, he made 2 or 3 of the best throws that were made all season by a Florida State quarterback in that game. He also threw the worst interception that anybody maybe in the ACC threw last year, and so that's kind of what I think you get with him. So he was 6 of 12, somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, they didn't give us stats. They didn't keep stats, so we kind of had to do it ourselves, so it's unofficial. And then, so he had a pretty nice first half, and then he comes out his first drive of the second half, and I'm putting half in quotes because I don't know, it wasn't really a halftime. The first pass hits Greedy Vance in the neck, and if he would have turned around, it's a pick 6, just on first down for no reason, and he's not covered. Why are you throwing that ball there, man? It's your 4th year. So I think, again, Tate, and that's kind of how he's been all spring. This was not an anomaly. He's had some incredible throws, followed up some head-shaking ones, and I think that's kind of what he is. I think we know what he is. He can start in 2024. He's got some ricks in him, good and bad. You know what I mean? He loves to take shots. He
Yeah.
got a big arm. He loves to show it off. He's going to throw it deep, but he's going to make you shake your head a few times. He's got some ricks in him. I'd like him to be a little more calm with the ball sometimes, but that he is what he is. The real question to me is between Duffy and Glenn.
Yes.
That's the real fight for me, and that's the fight that we'll be really watching. I don't know, maybe till December of this year coming up, or I don't know, this time next year, to know for sure who's ahead of who and who might not be here because the other kid's coming in next year too.
Yeah, they got Kromenhoek. They got Kromenhoek on the hook for 2024, and then they've got a kid coming in 2025 already committed as well. So, yeah, there's going to be some introspection on those guys, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Come August. So. Yeah, no, I didn't want to get pulled into a quarterback discussion, but I feel like you always have it's
you have to, right?
I guess.
You have to.
Yeah, we're this season. There's so much on the line for this season, and we know the quarterback is that I'm not all that dialed into like really, quibbling over it. But I understand. It's the future. Jordan's going to leave eventually. So
yeah, he is. So, we got to be prepared for it, man. We got to be prepared for it. Just like now, I'm preparing for a wedding, apparently.
Right. Do we have a date?
No.
Time of year. Obviously, it won't be football season.
It will be. It'll be the Miami game. No, we don't even know how we're going to do it. We don't know if it's going to be a courthouse thing because it's our second wedding each.
Right.
We don't know if we're going to do like a party here and a party in Atlanta for my friends or how. We have no idea. We haven't really. But hey, all you guys are invited that are listening.
Well, that shows you just how organic it was. That shows you how caught off guard she was because she probably would have had all this planned out if she would have known. But all right,
I think she legitimately thought I was never going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I told her that
Joke's
multiple
on her.
times. Yeah, exactly right. How'd that feel, Stephanie?
You want it, you got it, Scab. Major League Baseball in full swing, NBA playoffs in full tilt. Get it going on over at mybookie.ag, your one-stop shop for all your betting needs. Wide range of betting options. You got money lines, you got run lines, totals, and futures when it comes to the Major League Baseball sets. You've got plenty of stuff when it comes to the NBA playoffs with futures. You can bet on individual series. You can parlay that stuff together. You can also take advantage of the brand new MyBookie Money Bag, which gives you the chance to secure a bet on your favorite team or player at insanely boosted odds. It's easy. Go to mybookie.ag, sign up. Then the promo code will ask you, hey, you got one? You say, yeah, Warchant. That's the promo code. That'll give you a first deposit bonus of up to $1,000. You deposit $200, you'll have $300 instantly to play with just by using the promo code Warchant to claim your bonus. So if you're a baseball fan, if you're a hoops fan, if you're a college football fan, the futures are out there. 21-1 odds on the Noles. Come on, dream the big dream. Check out MyBookie. Sign up now and get ready to experience the thrill of betting like never before. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. All right, so what are some of the things, again, I think what you guys watch at home, and ladies, largely was representative of what they've looked like this year, right? I was glad they got to see Vandrevius do something. We saw him, I think, fumble on one end around and then kind of bobble on one and not maximize the yards he could have had. But then as things wound down there and they went to the alumni coach segment, we finally saw him catch something and show us a little of what he's had, a little what we told you folks. It was good to see that. I think the offensive line held up well. At the same time, I think we saw a guy like Byron Turner kind of give some production. Now, I don't know if that's going to pay off here ultimately when the season rolls around, but he got really high praise from his teammates. But give me one thing that you're glad you kind of saw, and I know I stole the Vandrevius away from you, and then maybe one thing that you would have hoped to have seen. But again, I don't really know what could have been different out there, but I would have liked to see like Jaheim and Morlock maybe make a couple bigger plays, because I know everybody's so excited about what they can be in the offense. But at the same time, I think you maybe had a little bit. You got a little bit of an idea of what they look like out there, at least at the very least. But give me something, Corey, that you're glad you were able to kind of point to, like, hey, listen, I told you guys about this. See, and then maybe something that you wish the fans would have been able to maybe get a little better glimpse of that we've maybe been talking up throughout the spring. I
feel like you stole all the answers.
Yeah.
You did. I bet you know what? I'll expand. I'll expound on it.
Yeah.
Vandrevius. I'm really happy he had that play. Not like it had been one thing if it was just a 44-yarder where it was a busted coverage. Mm-hmm. All right, he just ran past the guy, made a catch. It's like, okay, well, all right, I guess that is impressive. But what he did was like his whole his whole bag. Like, you got to see his whole bag in one play. The contested catch against a scholarship DB, it was not an easy catch. He threw him off him, so you got to see some competitiveness. Or not, I shouldn't say threw him off him. It wasn't like a Greg Jones type thing, but he broke off a tackle. You got to see the competitiveness. He didn't just go out of bounds. He caught a first down pass and was not satisfied with it. He turns upfield. He shows off the speed and the agility and the wiggle, all in one play. That's why we're so excited about that kid, because he has some stuff. He has some juice that nobody on the roster has. Nobody. And I do think he's going to play a significant amount of time this season for this team. So that was cool to see, because until then he had done nothing. Like you said, he had dropped the reverse. Obviously, they know they like what he can do, right, everyone? Like they ran 3 end rounds with him. You don't do that for guys that aren't really exceptional athletes. So they know what he is. It's just cool that y'all got to see just a tiny glimpse of what we've gotten to see, so we don't look like complete liars. It was cool that Brock Glenn had a couple of nice moments too. And then, I guess I don't know what to make. Yeah, what Jaheim Bell, no. Because Jaheim Bell, if you want to know how good he is, go watch film. There's a lot of it out there. It's not like he played in some conference you've never heard of. Go watch film. He's very impressive. Kyle Morlock, would have liked to seen a little bit more out of him. He did have a nice catch at the end of, I think Duffy hit him maybe, for like 22 yards down the middle of the field. Showed off the wheels a little bit for that size. It was a nice big play, 22, 25 yards, something like that.
It was Brock Glenn. It was third down.
My man Brock Glenn. Yeah. And then, but he also dropped one wide open in the flat.
Yeah.
Just completely straight up batted it down, which I had not seen him do all spring. I don't remember him dropping a pass.
That was Duffy, actually, that did off his arm that he dropped.
Oh, yeah. So you know who Kyle Morlock is wanting to win. Come on, Kyle. Don't make it so obvious, man. So you got to see the size. You got to see the agility for that size. Other than that, it's like, yeah, you can look at line play here and there and see good things and bad things for everybody. I did think Byron Turner, the first sack was basically it was a bootleg. He didn't bite. He read it well, but you didn't see the athleticism really. It was the second one, the very next play. I think they were both against Brock Glenn. That was impressive, and I think it was against Byers. That's a really impressive move against a talented and physical and experienced offensive lineman to show off that speed. And when Jared Verse was talking about him after the game showcase, and he's like, Jared Verse called him a freak of nature. I'm like, all right, well that means game recognizes game. Freaks recognize freaks, I guess. I don't see, like, Jared Verse is a legitimate freak of nature. But him talking like that about one of his teammates is a good sign. Now, he's not going to down talk any of his teammates for sure. Sometimes these guys can be hyperbolic when they're talking about their teammates, but I do think you saw a little burst there. So that was good to see. But do you think that what you saw from Byron Turner in that spring game, coupled with the rest of the spring, is enough to think you don't need to go get another defensive end?
Yeah, no.
Right,
well
me either.
Said.
Yeah.
But
it was cool to see. It was cool to see that he made a play like that, or a couple plays like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, the first week of practice, Derek McClendon was still here, so he wasn't really getting those snaps. So, I mean, he really hasn't even been able to maximize the full amount of spring, but I don't know if 15 preseason practices or whatever it is, and then, being at UNF for a few days and then getting ready for LSU, if that's going to be enough to make you feel good about him being like your number 3 defensive end. Because, I don't know, man, like is Gilbert Edmond right now, is he playing at a level that's better? I mean, maybe that's not fair, but is he even playing up to what Derek McClendon was for you last year, it feels like? So with that portal being open, that's going to be something to keep an eye on because, yeah, they probably need some more help there. But they got somebody they feel good about. I think Adam Fuller said that he probably is their straight line guy, is probably their fastest, maybe just behind Jared Verse, I think is what he said. So
yeah.
You do have something there.
So it's good that you have a guy like that. He's not Patrick Payton yet, probably won't be. Patrick Payton, I thought, looked good, really good. And again, maybe he takes that step and you've got – I mean, there is a chance, right? We do live in a world where you have 2 first-team All-ACC defensive ends on this team. That's not outlandish, right? Patrick Payton was the ACC Rookie of the Year last year, and he's back, and he's going to get more reps. So maybe he does become that guy. Edmond and then Byron Turner, I just need to see more. I need to see more from both of them. It was nice that Turner had a game like that, or a couple plays like that anyway. And then, we talked about it a little bit, but I thought Deloach, the way they talk about Deloach is very interesting. It's intriguing. Ira wrote about it today, but it's not just like, yeah, he made some plays. He essentially almost had, he had one defensive touchdown for sure, and that might have been a pick six if he can shake off a tackle from Ja'Kai Douglas. And on Thursday, he had made a very similar play. It almost intercepted a pass from Jordan Travis. He just batted it down, but he should have caught it. He undercut it. It was a great play on a pass to Toafili. He just dropped the interception. So it's good to see him making those instinctual plays like that. But they talk about him as like they want him to be a dynamic leader. And I keep coming back to this, and it's probably just because it's been 10 years now. They play the same position, but it's like they want him to be Telvin Smith.
Yeah.
Not just in ability, but the way Telvin Smith galvanized the defense and was the unquestioned leader of that defense. And I shouldn't say unquestioned. I mean, Jernigan was there, Joyner was there, T. Brooks was there, but Telvin Smith was the mouthpiece of that defense. And it's like, I think they want Kalen to be that guy. And he's not quite fulfilling that role just yet. But the way they talked about him after Saturday's scrimmage, it made it sound like maybe he's coming closer to the guy they want him to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that because he has a different level of athleticism than Tatum Bethune, right? He has a different level of athleticism than DJ Lundy. I think he's their most physically gifted linebacker, and there needs to be a kind of a mentality that he is playing with, but also like that leadership kind of component that brings out a different level of you. And then if he has that part of his game, because that's what they've seen out of Jordan, I think they want him to get that same level of assertiveness, because I think for so long with Kalen, it's been, getting thrown into the deep end so young with a different coaching staff, having to develop under this new coaching staff. He had Marv for a year, and then now Randy Shannon is here, so he's had a little bit more turnover than anybody else on the defense. But yeah, if he's a guy that can really embrace like the expectations of being, maybe not the Mike linebacker, but the way that mentality was, the importance of a guy like that was back in the 90s and on a defense. If he can be that guy for them, that probably changes the way they feel about how they can perform and what they can do out there. And I mean, for him to be involved in those kind of plays, isn't that not part of him proving that? It's just consistency now, right, Corey? Like, hopefully we see him out there on Monday, later today, doing the same sort of stuff, because we didn't see Tatum out there, and if he can play that well and then Tatum comes back in the lineup and he's good to go, then, what we thought was a glaring weakness or a weak link, if you will, by measure of what they have up front and what they have on the back end, then this is a defense you feel a lot better about. So.
Yeah, and I think, the two biggest question marks we know of this, of starters on this team on the defensive side of the ball, we talked about it too much, but it's safety and linebacker. With Shaheem Brown, you're wanting him to be something that he hasn't quite shown yet, but you think the potential is there. It's bubbling. It could be that. He could be a guy. With Kalen Deloach, he's shown he can be that guy. The second half of 2021, he was a good college linebacker, a all-ACC caliber college linebacker. You think about the Boston College game and the Florida. I mean, he was making plays all over the field. In the LSU game, he was all over the field. And then it just dissipated. I don't know where it went, where he was just kind of a guy for most of last season, I thought. But we know it's in there. We've seen it. And then you saw it again it was a nice reminder in the spring game that he's got that ability to make game-changing plays. That's a really good play. The interception against the quarterback like that's a great read. And we want this team to be about takeaways. But then also the strip that he had on, I don't know if it was Campbell or Hill. I think it might have been Hill. But he ripped the ball. It looked like Lundy forced the fumble at first, but the ball was already coming loose when Lundy hit him in the back because of what Deloach had done. And then Deloach picks it up and runs it in for a touchdown. Those are game-changing type plays, and if he can be that guy, well then you've got another dude, not just a solid college player. You've got an all-ACC caliber linebacker, because I think he's got that in him somewhere.
I think he graded out above 60. I'm counting in 8 games in 2021. And then last season, only 4.
Yeah, that seems about right?
Yeah.
So. Weird. I don't know. Maybe Bethune was taking more of his tackle. I don't know. It just, he didn't seem to be the same guy with that same motor and athleticism that he showed for a lot of 2021. But you saw it on display Saturday for sure.
Maybe if he had some vitamin energy, they give him a little bit of pep in his step, he could buy one and get one free by using the promo code WARCHAMP, BOGO, BOGO, over at vitaminenergy.com, courtesy of our friends that are Florida State alums at Vitamin Energy. Corey and I went with the focus. I thought that was the game plan. We took the focus. Shout out to our guy Corey asserting dominance again over the 17th green at Capital City Country Club.
Right.
It's just the Wake Up Warchant hole. We just make it rain. I drained a putt to close it out last year with a birdie, and then Corey was the absolute sort of it was the tipping point of our day. Things weren't going our way.
Right.
And then he was the last guy to putt on that green. We had a very, very, very makeable birdie putt. It was probably about 15 feet or so, but gosh darn it, we needed it. One of us needed to knock it in there. Ira couldn't. I couldn't. The specimen Keith Cottrell couldn't. Right. And then who steps up and does it? Corey S. Clark, everybody. Corey S. Clark. And I don't know if he's going to give all the props to Vitamin Energy, but I think it played a part in it.
It was that focus. It was that focus that I took. It laser focused me. I should have taken it a little earlier in the day, clearly, because the first 5-6 holes, Daddy was not contributing at all. Well, I did have a nice bunker shot.
You did.
The first hole, that was crazy. The first one of my life, like literally, if I hit a ball in a bunker, typically when I'm golfing, and I golf like once a year, I pick it up and throw it in the rough because I can't get it out of the sand. But that time I'm like, well, whatever, here goes nothing. Yeah. And I chopped it to within like 2 feet. Yeah. It was incredible.
Ira and I were like, we're not even going to try. We're good. That's good. We'll play that.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. So that was cool. But yeah, that was but your putt, man, I know it wasn't this was last year pre-Vitamin Energy.
Right.
But your putt was like a 70-foot sidewinder. Mine was just like I'm going to say it was 18 feet. Let's say it was an 18-footer.
There's a lot of pressure on yours, though. I was playing loose and free. Steph had already knocked us within par range.
Right.
I had no shot at it. It was blind luck. Like there's real pressure. There was real expectation. There was no expectation on me out there. You had.
That's a good point. And I did. I was telling people, it's weird when people ask you how you golfed in a scramble. Like, how'd you hit them?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I was terrible. But I think we used 5 or 6 of my shots.
Yeah.
Which is that's all I wanted. Yep. Every now and again, I'd put one in the fairway, short, but in the fairway, so you and Keith could have clearance to just let it ride.
Yep.
Ira, look, man, Ira is a really good journalist. He is a good dad, great husband, and we'll leave it at that.
We'll get him on the Vitamin Energy next year. VitaminEnergy.com. Again, that promo code is WARCHAMP, BOGO, BOGO. Thanks to everybody who came out to that golf tournament, by the way. Hope you enjoyed your Vitamin Energy that we dropped in your gift bags. Corey, I do want to kind of maybe double back a little bit to Kentron Poitier and this kind of weird, I don't know, are we grading against ghosts? Like, do we keep stacking everything up against 2013 or 99 or to a certain extent 1993? You look at this defense, and then you think about teams like Georgia. It's like, well, our offense was maybe just as good as Georgia's last year, or could probably be better than what they were last year. But our defense clearly nowhere near as dominant as they were. So what are we doing thinking that we can win a college football playoff national championship? But you're like, well, just look at our schedule. And you don't know how to really judge and grade against things. You look at Kentron Poitier, you know what you're going to have in Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson is head and shoulders, far and away, your number one receiver. You think the tight end 3-back position is going to be something a little bit extra and different to what you have. You know what the running back position is going to be. Jordan Travis, obviously, when things break down, is going to be something that Chris Winkie and Jameis Winston were not, and probably even Charlie wasn't to a certain degree. So, is he good enough? And I know we've asked this, and we're going to probably keep asking it throughout the offseason, everybody. You guys are going to ask us questions in Renegade Express about it. But for what this offense we kind of project it to be, Kentron's a guy that caught 14 passes last year, I think 4 for a touchdown. I don't know if he's going to have games where he goes 5 for 104, but is he good enough to be a number 2 receiver in what we think this offense is going to be? A guy that can make some tough catches, apparently has really good ball skills near the red zone and in the tight area. Is he enough, or do you need to look at, seriously, Johnny and Kentron are not Kelvin and Rashad? How do we grade it?
Yeah, I think that's a question that we'll know the answer to in about 2 weeks, right? Because whenever the portal ends up closed, so the portal's open again, everyone, if you haven't been on Twitter. I think
shout out to all those players from Texas, by the way, putting their names in the portal before their spring game even started on Saturday. They just got after it. Just
I
dove
like
in
it.
there.
Did they play in the game?
I don't know.
Those guys?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Because that's the way to do it. It's like, hey guys, I'm in the portal. Put it on ESPN Plus right now and watch.
Right.
But yeah. So I think we'll know more about what they feel about their wide receiver crew in the next 2 weeks. Excuse me, because I think that'll tell us everything. What if they think 88 is really the guy or can be the guy? Because look, I think you have a guy, and who knows about Destin Hill? But I think you have a guy at 19 that is almost like he's almost like a portal guy to me. I mean, we'll see. I know he's young, but this is almost like, and I know you just don't expect freshmen on a loaded offense to come in and be able to contribute and be a part of the rotation. I think 19 has done that. I think Jacobs is a guy that is going to be in the rotation. He's almost like a portal get on his own. What is Poitier? What is he? I think he can be a guy that is 5 for 100.
Okay.
Against single coverage. And, it's not like he's going up against slappies in practice when we see him have good days. I mean, he's going up against a top 20-ish defense. So he's making plays against Division I corners. So I like his chances of being a guy that can take that next step. Williamson, I don't know that you can count on Darian Williamson right now, man. He's not healthy enough ever.
Yeah.
He's got so much ability, but he has a hard time staying healthy. So they don't really know, right? They don't know what they have, and the portal is open for I think the next 2 weeks, right? 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
So we'll know when we see if they do anything in the portal.
Another thing too about the observation the poster made about, like is this how they look, when they practice, what we saw in the game. They really do, and I know they had to get guys on the field. They wanted to have Hakeem get some reps. But, man, listen, during the season last year, go back and watch some of those games. Like that Clemson game, it's a second half, third quarter. Like they're marching down the field. They're down big, but like they need to score a touchdown. And like they do a hockey line change at wide receiver. Like, and they brought Ja'Kai and they brought Kentron on. And I was like, why are you bringing these guys on right now? Like, you really need to score. And sure enough, I think either Kentron or Ja'Kai ends up scoring a touchdown on that possession and finishes it off. So, when we think about 2013 and we think about Kelvin and we think about Rashad and we think about Kenny, that was it, man. That was a wrap. Like Christian Green every blue moon perhaps, and obviously Nick O'Leary, but like that was it for wide receivers. So I don't even know if like Kentron has to be at Rashad's level. He's not at Rashad's level. I don't think he has to be though, because I think they will bring Ja'Kai in. I think Winston Wright, I hope here these player run practices throughout the summer that gives him more. I would think that this was kind of hopefully just a mental exercise for him to know that, hey, listen, man, you can go through 15 practices in 4 weeks and you can scrimmage and you're all right, man. Like you're good. You are good. So I'm hoping that he took that away because we didn't see a lot of playmaking from him. But I think this was probably more than anything was kind of just like, let me feel comfortable again. Let me get my mind right. My body's good. Let me get everything synced up. So you've got Winston Wright. You've got Van Dravius. You've got Ja'Kai. You've got Kentron. I mean, there's going to be more weapons to rotate in there. So I don't know if Kentron has to be this kind of guy that we're expecting to go out there and run 70 reps, and run 50 crisp routes because he's not going to be asked to do that. So I think he's going to be fine. But maybe to your point, though, we'll see when the portal closes.
Yeah, but he made the first catch he made in that game on Saturday was the one from Duffy. I think it was Duffy. It was like a 29-yard, third and long. The explosion he showed to go get the ball, the hands catch he made to make it, and then the runner after the catch for a few yards. That's high-level stuff. Mm-hmm. That's good. That is a good college receiver type play. I don't know if he's an NFL guy. He's certainly got an NFL body. I don't know if he's going to play in the league. I know Johnny Wilson is. I don't know that he's special. I also don't know that you need special everywhere. Right. You need a good – Kenny Shaw wasn't special. Kenny Shaw was a good slot receiver who had special all around him.
He was raw.
Well, he was raw. Yeah, oh, boy. Raw dogging it out there. Well, so he was what's the movie? There's a movie where a guy doesn't know what that means and he keeps getting it wrong. It's really funny. Oh, no, it's Shrinking, the new show with Harrison Ford. Oh. He doesn't understand what that phrase means and he keeps using it in the wrong context. But anyway, so Kenny Shaw was a good college receiver, and we think of him fondly because of that season, and he was a really tough kid for his size over the middle. but clearly he wasn't a special receiver. The two guys on the other side of him were. The guy throwing it was. And now you got a guy that you got a special guy throwing it. You've got one guy wearing 14 that's special. If Kentron's just pretty good, that could be good enough.
Yeah.
But again, if there is special out there in the portal, you don't say no to it. You just don't. You might, if you go get a 1A receiver, somebody that had 1,100 yards somewhere last year, well, go get them, but know that one or two of the receivers on your current team will probably be entering the portal the next day. And that's just the life we lead in 2023. That's the life we live as college football connoisseurs. But I don't think Poitier is enough that you would just say no to anyone.
Right. Yeah.
But it's got to be worth it.
Yes.
It's just got to be worth it. But because I think he is good enough for this to be a wildly successful offense with him because he doesn't have the speed of Pokey Wilson, but he can put up the numbers. Like, who was their number 2 last year? Pokey?
Well, yeah, Pokey probably, yeah.
He can put up Pokey numbers at the very least.
Yeah. All right, we buried the lead, but we mentioned it. Let's get to it, man. These new uniforms.
Oh, okay. All right.
Nowhere in the verbiage does it say anything about the color being tweaked. I mean, I think they said they've called it a refresh. They've refreshed their uniforms for 2023. But I feel like the Garnet looks a little bit more reddish, a little reddish in tone, a little less purple, which is good. I liked the tribal stuff on the shoulder. I realized it was a little busy, but it looks, everything on the whole here, other than like the font of the numbering, looks a little bit closer to your daddy's Noles, everybody. Mm-hmm. The collar looks very similar to Charlie, Chris, Winky, Jameis era stuff. It's very, very subtle, and it's now only on the cuff of the sleeve, like the elastic, so it's much more subtle. The numbers are now no longer on the top of the shoulder pad. They're actually on the side. You can't please all the people, man, but I feel like overwhelmingly most people are excited about this because it does look pretty close to what we used to be. There's a couple people like, well, we still look like Boston College, but you can't make all those people happy. I know you're not our sartorial expert, Corey, but you got to be happy to see the folks are happy about all this. I think most people are happy at the refresh.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were fire. Kids still say that, right?
Yeah.
They were fire. Actually, I don't know. I had to ask you. When I did the post game with Tom and Gene, I had to ask them to tell me what the difference was. I couldn't really figure out the major differences, but I thought they looked fine. I thought they looked like Florida State football uniforms. Yes. That's all I care about, gang. And they weren't black, so we avoided that. But yeah, I do like that they, to me anyway, on first glance, they did seem more garnety than maybe what I've seen. They just looked like the right color.
Yes.
But I will trust Twitter's opinion on it and the Tribal Council's opinion on it, and it looked overwhelmingly positive.
Yes.
So that works for me. I don't know about the white helmet all the time. I don't know if that's a thing they're going to do on the road for every game, or if they were just showing the white helmet in the display because –
yeah, because they've got multiple pant options, multiple top options, but they only have 2 helmets. So it's like, all right, why have both guys wear gold helmets? At least
that's true, but I want you to wear gold almost all the time.
Yes, I'm with
Notre Dame doesn't show up with a white helmet. They don't wear blue helmets. They wear gold helmets. Florida State's helmet is, dare I say, an iconic brand, Aslan. It might be the most iconic helmet in the country. Yeah. Them in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And so, celebrate it. Wear it all the time. It's a really cool helmet. Whoever designed it, whenever that was, 45 years ago, they struck gold. Yeah. So stay with it. But other than that, yeah, I thought the uniform display was perfectly fine. It was weird how excited people got about it. Weird in my opinion, my old man opinion. I was like, what? Okay, but it was I'm on board. I'm on board.
So where we're at right now, Corey, we're like quibbling over the number 2 receiver and the color palette being back because all the other important things are situated. Like your offensive line is good, your coaching staff's locked down.
What about kicker?
What? We didn't see anything. Mike didn't give us an opportunity to make any judgments. I'm a little bit disappointed in that.
So they in the actual scrimmage part of the game, I think Fitzgerald was the only one that was asked to kick. And he kicked a 32-yard in a field goal. He kicked a 32-yard, I think, on the first drive of the first-team offense, I think. And he made it 32, 33 yards, whatever it was. And then they made their extra points, and then they did have like a quick 5-minute special teams drill type period, and Fitzgerald tried a 37-yarder, I think, that was blocked.
Yes, that's right.
By our man Renardo, we think got a hand on it, and then Keltner made his. So the battle continues, everyone. The battle continues into the rest of April and on into May.
To the hardwood real quick, that portal's been wide open. Florida State finally active in there. They landed 2 transfers since the last time we spoke. Josh Nickelberry from LaSalle, Corey. He originally, I think, started at Louisville. This past season at LaSalle averaged nearly 11 points per game and about 2.5 rebounds. And then they also got a transfer out of VCU, not Kalen DeLoach's brother, but another player by the name of Jameer Watkins, 6'7", 210-pound, 3 guy, small forward probably. 9.5 points, 5.5 rebounds for VCU. So they brought these 2 guys in, and they've lost Matthew Cleveland. They've lost, Caleb Mills.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how the math doesn't work in their favor in this, but I don't know like what's. You just think there's some kind of crazy upside here that these kids haven't tapped into that they're going to be able to unlock here in 1 year in Tallahassee. I don't mean to sound negative, but it's kind of hard to find the silver lining in this one.
Well, yeah, they're not the needle movers, right? That you would think they're not even the primary VCU transfer, the transfer from VCU you wanted. So no, I get it. Look, it's a lot of it is fit. A lot of it is who can you get. The Nickelberry kid, at least, I mean, he's a dead-eye three-point shooter, and in this day and age, you need guys that can shoot. They clearly didn't have any last year. They had Darren Green. Tom House, we were told, was a great shooter. It just never appeared in actual basketball games. So they need guys that can shoot and have made shots in college basketball games. So that's an addition. You got yourself another shooter. So you've got Green and Nickelberry. So you've got 2 shooters now. And I guess this kid's a decent rebounder, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 6, 7. Yeah, so, you're getting role players. And you need role players. But you also need some guys that can maybe have averaged more than 10 points a game in college. That would be a nice – if you want – now, and look, who knows? I'm not a scout. This might be the exact guys that Leonard needed to make a run. I don't know. But I know if you want fans to be excited – or at least not, completely,
an open rebellion.
Or completely apathetic.
Yeah.
You need to bring in transfers that average more than 9.5 points per game, especially when you just lost your 2 leading scorers. Yeah. So, or 2 of your top 3 leading scorers. So that's all. That's all but the portal's still open, folks. These might be the appetizers to the main course, but who knows? But yeah, I get it. It's doesn't seem like an equal trade. Production-wise. It is not an equal trade production-wise so far from what you lost and what you brought in.
Yeah, and the bummer is, you mentioned needle movers, and I guess one of them was going to be Aaron Estrada out of Hofstra. Leonard trying to go the Norvell route and tap into the CAA, the Colonial Athletic Association. But Estrada, who averaged 20 points this last season for Hofstra, he had Florida State, Alabama, Cincinnati, and Kansas State in his Final Four. He canceled his visit to Florida State. So that's and apparently there was some relationship between him and R.J. Barsh, who's now left Florida State to go to Gonzaga, if I'm not mistaken. There was some relationship there, and he tried to hand it off to Ham as best as he could. So, but that did not work out. Now they've got Kevin Nickelberry. I don't think any relation to the kid that they got from LaSalle as a new assistant coach on staff. Nickelberry was, I think, most recently at LSU. You don't think
you think that's a complete, just utter coincidence, that last name?
I think. Yeah, I mean, Nickelberry, I don't know.
It's not Smith.
You're right.
Literally 4 days after you just got a transfer, another Nickelberry in the basketball world hops on staff.
I guess I could maybe look it up.
That's fine. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, and then shout out to softball. We're not going to talk about baseball on the show anymore. Sorry, Luke. But they dropped the first game on Friday, but I think Saturday was a doubleheader, and they rallied back and they took the series from Virginia. So
well, no, mostly right. They did take the series from Virginia. They won the first game on Friday night. Then they played a doubleheader on Saturday. They lost the first game of the doubleheader 6-5, and then won the. I think they run ruled them in the nightcap, or beat them convincingly. So yeah. So good. Overall, I mean, you probably want to sweep Virginia at home. Virginia's not very good, but you win 2 out of 3. You keep pace. You keep doing what you're doing. All you're trying to get, if you're Lonnie, is a top 8 national seed, and they're well on their way to doing that.
All right. Apparently, according to somebody on Twitter, Josh Nickelberry's dad is Kevin Nickelberry. So I don't even. I mean, golly. So we got
Who could have seen that coming? Who connected those dots?
We got the one transfer that we got. We hired his dad. I mean, golly, we're a travel ball baseball team right now. Oh,
hey,
man.
I bet he might have connections with what you hope is he has connections with other good players, which could be the case. You never know. You never know.
Time is winding down. But the portal, again, is wide open at least for football, so stay connected to warchant.com. Plenty of recruiting news as well. The Noles, I think they inked 2 guys since – we're not inked, but they got commitments from 2 guys since we last spoke.
Yeah.
And they got some receivers, which –
couple 4-stars too, right?
Yeah. My guy, B.J. Gibson, out of Wilcox County High School in Georgia.
Baseball player too, apparently.
2-sport guy. We like those. So they got him on Saturday after the game. Things picking up in terms of recruiting, so check out the premium recruiting board. Michael Langston, as well as our guy Matt Lasser, got you guys covered front to back when it comes to all that sort of stuff. We'll be at practice later today. We'll do a show for you folks tomorrow with some of our observations. We'll also get to speak to all of the assistant coaches on defense. So we'll get to speak to Coach Sertan, Odell, Coach Shannon, and then maybe a player or 2. So we'll have all that here on the show. We'll do a Renegade Express, too, maybe to spread it out and squeeze out 2 more shows this week for you. But in the meantime, check out the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. He and Tom Lang will share their thoughts on the spring game. And you can always talk about this with your Florida State brethren over on the Tribal Council, so do check it out. For Corey, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.